New York Giants, let's go defense. Ballin'. New York Giants, fly high, you know this.
Hi, and welcome back to the Colorado G-Men Show. In Denver, find us upstairs at the Tavern in Platt Park. In Boulder, we're in the basement of the Lazy Dog, the G-Men Den. And in Colorado Springs, find us at the Good Company Bar. We'll be watching every game at all of those locations. So the Giants got put in their place by an upper echelon NFC contender in the Saints on Sunday. They were 3.5-point underdogs at home against the Saints, who laid down the gauntlet against the Giants with a final score of 33-18. With 5 minutes and 19 seconds left in the first half, Wayne Gallman Jr. drops the ball and any momentum the Giants had. It took a special effort from Eli Manning to push Marshawn Lattimore out of bounds, saving 4 points as the D did hold up. However, this play is the absolute most critical play of the game because the Giants were leading the charge and the game up to this point. According to the ESPN win probability tracker, this single-handedly changed the win percentage by 24.3% in favor of the Saints. I've never seen a single play that's had that much of a swing. Turnovers play a big role again as the Giants failed to snatch one and gave up another sack fumble in the fourth to seal it. Giants are now -2 turnover ratio on the season, -2 for this game as well, tied for 20th in the NFL. The D played well for the most part, bending and not breaking against the high-octane Saints' assault. They were able to keep them out of the end zone until the middle of the third quarter. The Saints were only allowed 2 red zone touchdowns in 6 trips, which is a huge win for the defense. Very impressive in pass defense, keeping Breeze to only 217 yards. Even more impressive was holding him to 56.3% completion percentage for the most efficient quarterback in the NFL coming into this game, who had over 80% completion percentage. The D continues to struggle against the run game, giving up 170 yards to a team that just flat out couldn't run the ball. One of the keys to the games, as I mentioned in the preview show, was stop Kamara. They didn't do that. The dude put up 134 yards on the ground and 181 total yards. He almost had as many yards as Drew Brees. I also said in the preview to watch Taysom Hill as they used him in some trickery. On the second drive of the game, it was about to be the second 3-and-out for the Giants defense, but the Giants failed to convert the turnover on downs as Hill took the direct snap and passed to Hardy for a first down. This was a backbreaker. This wasn't the only moment where the D failed to get off the field after a great performance. The first touchdown allowed by the Giants in the game was after the Saints were stopped, but Brandon Webb was flagged for a face mask, which just demoralized this defense after fighting so hard the whole game. On that series, Landon Collins had 3 tackles to get them to 3-and-out. The game was still within striking distance at this point. If they just hit a field goal, it would have been 15-7. Instead, the next play pushes the game to 19-7. Very fittingly, the first touchdown comes on a read option where Taysom Hill hands the ball to Kamara, freezing Kareem Martin just enough to squeak through the line. This D needs to step up the pigskin larceny game. I mean, they've only been able to deliver the ball to our offense 3 times in 4 games. I gotta credit Landon Collins. He was a friggin' beast out there, notching 14 tackles. He just seemed to be everywhere. Fitting that we were giving away Landon Collins' jersey. The offense looked amazing on that 10-play opening 75-yard drive. But the Giants' offense is like Colorado pizza. You think it's going to be good, but it's not. After that drive, they amassed 224 yards of total offense. For some perspective, only 2 teams, the Bills and Cardinals, averaged less than that per game. Take the total offensive output for the game of 299 yards, and only 4 teams have averaged less than that. Tack on the Jets and the Dolphins from the list before. This is just a D that just gave up on defending the pass, but the Giants couldn't move the damn ball. They were dead last in points given up with an average of 34.3. The Giants still couldn't get to 20 again. That's 13 times in 20 games they've failed to get to 20 damn points. We're not talking about the 30-point mark, which we haven't reached since Tom Coughlin's last game. 20 points should be achievable for an NFL offense. Really, I can't blame the D for giving up in the fourth quarter. The offense couldn't get through the Lincoln Tunnel. Needed to get an Uber. The offensive line continues to struggle, giving up another 3 sacks, including a sack fumble at the end of the game. They've now given up 15 sacks on the season, which is the 4th most in the NFL, and 25 hits on Eli for the season. John Greco had a horrendous series to start the second half, where he had a holding penalty. Then he gave up one of the 3 sacks on Eli, effectively killing the drive when the game was still well in hand and they were actually moving the ball. Eli may be taken out in a body bag. He really doesn't have much time to get rid of the ball. Eli was actually pretty efficient, passing for 234 yards, 31 of 41 passes. The problem was the passes were short, averaging only 5.5 yards per pass. Now, I just got a problem with everybody pointing a finger at Eli Manning when the offensive line, it just doesn't hold up. It's easy to sit in this chair and talk smack about Eli Manning worrying about getting sacked. Well, I'll tell you what. When there's 300-pound linemen coming after you, I'd like to see how you react if you're looking down the field. He's looking to make sure he's not going to get sacked, so he's dancing around in the pocket, and he may miss a receiver or two. If he had confidence in that offensive line, his eyes would be downfield the entire time. I'm sick of this argument already. Leave the guy alone. Let him retire as a freaking champion, all right? Jesus. Brett Ellison's role expanded with Evan Engram sidelined. He had 3 receptions on 5 targets for 29 yards. Getting those first downs and extra yards, he's really fighting for them. If you want to knock him for dropping that touchdown, there was double coverage and Eli's pass was high. It was a huge drop because it could have closed the lead down to 5 heading into the 4th quarter. The Giants are becoming very efficient on 3rd down, notching 5 of 10 in this game, which is good for 7th in the league in conversions for the season at 45%. But it doesn't seem to translate into finishing drives. Saquon Barkley, you want to have this debate about whether the Giants should have drafted him. He is the only thing worth watching on this team. Odell Beckham's been getting a few yards here and there, and it's been exciting, but Saquon just continues to amaze. Special teams continues to be a mess. I mean, every time the ball is in the air, I'm afraid. It doesn't matter who's back there. Again, putting Odell Beckham, and I understand it was a very critical punt, and if he could have shaken something, it would have been a huge impact. Don't put him back there. This is our $95 million man. We can't afford for him to get hurt. Jesus. Aldrick Rosas continues to be perfect. Coach Shurmer, it's hard not to imagine the Giants just couldn't have game planned better. One of the worst defenses in the NFL, especially against the pass. Eli was saying after the game he was a little confused between their changing up of the cover 3, cover 2. If we took a few shots on that cover 2, cover 3, they're not that good. You know, let the receivers, our playmaker, get a chance to actually do something down the field. Now, I don't like talking about the refs because it's lowbrow and it feels like weak form. But there were multiple blown calls in this game. Critical, suspect, weak calls that's part of the dialogue of this game. The play, which we're going to dub this the horse shoulder tackle, was blatantly not a horse collar. It allowed the Saints to get a field goal, but the Giants could have stopped them. In my opinion, Tony Romo was pointing it out in the broadcast. It becomes a thing, but it was one of the least impactful plays of the game. With 3 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in the game, the Saints backed up to their 1-yard line. There was a tripping penalty that was completely missed as Alvin Tomlinson comes tumbling in towards Drew Brees, who would have been sacked in the end zone for a safety, or at least this should have been called a tripping call. This would give the Giants good field position, a 6-point deficit with 3 minutes, 40 seconds to go, 3 timeouts, and a world champion Eli who knows how to march down the damn field in the 4th quarter. Then, with 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the game, on 3rd and 8, a 1-score game at 26-18, there was a pass interference call on Dante Dion that was weak at best. This sealed the game. Ogletree said after the game that the refs would not have called that in the Super Bowl. This is something out of their own admission. The offensive pass interference call that was picked up because it was at the line of scrimmage was at least 2 yards down the field. There was 12 and a half minutes to go in the 4th quarter. It was 3rd and 9, would have pushed them to 3rd and 19, which would have been very difficult to make, and the Giants could get the ball back. With a lot of time, the score was manageable. Would the Giants have won? Probably not, if this was officiated correctly. But you know what? It would have been a hell of a lot closer. The NFC Roundup So this loss puts the Giants firmly in the basement of the NFC East. If they had won, they would have been tied with the Cowboys and the Eagles. This puts them a game and a half back behind Washington, one game behind both the Cowboys and Eagles. The division isn't great this year, with a combined winning percentage of 55% for the other three teams in the division. The Cowboys don't impress. The Eagles just lost the game in overtime to the Tennessee Titans. The Redskins, they got to prove it. Adrian Peterson looks great, but we got to see this more on a consistent basis rather than just 3 games from them, because they did have the bye. Thank you, everyone, for watching the Colorado G-Men show. We'll see you guys all at the Tavern in Platt Park, the Lazy Dog, and Good Company Bar. Stay tuned for the next show we're going to do this week, which is evaluating the Giants at the quarter pole of the season. Go Giants!